All right, hello everyone. I am notoriously bad at recaps, so I might call on Vikrant to help. The session was covering lots of potential development directions for the OpenDB library. We're trying to kind of weight those development directions based on the potential use cases available and the potential gain from the library usability and utility. So some clear things like proofs are, I think, the number one priority for us to, well, proofs and data frames are number one priority for us to work on going forward in this next year. The proof coverage is something that we need your help with. So if you've got the kind of a little bit of background in DP and you don't mind writing some LaTeX, then let me know and I'll hook you into the right place. We also have a proof review board formed, so the process is in motion. Data frames are the intersection of many of our use cases. We anticipate them supporting integrations with other libraries. We anticipate them making data releases possible in government and industry. So the question is, what among data frames are best to prioritize? Obviously, I think more statistics like variances, standard deviations, in both the bounded and unbounded DP models are needed to add, as well as more dataset preprocessing transformations. As we build more functionality into polars, hopefully more of the kinds of things that you would want to do can be done in the library and not before the library. It's a kind of common complaint among many DP libraries is that your data needs to be just so before you start using them, and kind of opens up potential issues out there in the preprocessing. So that's a high-level view for data frames, trying to find potential complications around implementations related to contribution bounding, around integrating with SQL potentially, and implementing joins. A lot of great conversations in there. Our package, our package is serving existing use cases. The question being, like, how do we prioritize more development on it? My general feeling on that, and I temper that by the feeling of the room, is the addition of a context API would be potentially low effort, high utility, and building out and supporting plugins in R or integrating with polars in R would be need to be motivated more by direct use cases. Had a little discussion on algorithms around clipping bounds estimation, so finding good lower and upper bounds for your data. I won't dive into that. Algorithmic primitives got one vote for providing more low-level mechanisms that can be kind of plugged into existing pipelines in industry. This has kind of been a general sentiment I've seen from other places as well. So we have a number of mechanisms along in process, and it feels like it would be good to prioritize completing those. combinators, like there's so many things. I think you get a general gist of how the conversation went. I'll kind of wrap things up, but um, all of our development resources can always be amplified by individual contributions to help move things along. So always happy to chat with people.
I'm going to ask Priyanka to come, because she was the main leader and the note taker. So
All right, so I'll quickly share some reflections from our session on DP beyond algorithms, where we were talking about the socio-technical aspects of DP deployments. So as a group, we engaged in a three-part discussion where we talked about past challenges that we've encountered or witnessed in DP deployments. Then we talked about future directions for what we might want to do as a community to solve some of the challenges that we've been facing. And then third, we talked about community principles, and we discussed sort of some principles that the organizers proposed and added to that and refined them a bit. So I'll share just like a couple summary points from what came out of the discussion on past challenges and future directions. So in terms of past challenges, we found that people found a need to consider the entire architecture of the DP system, so not just the specifics of the DP deployment, but also sort of the sum total of the data pipeline, and think about the privacy guarantees more holistically. Second, people in the group said that there are lots of parties that are impacted by DP and they all have different needs. So it becomes a challenge in terms of eliciting what it means to have a good deployment, and then also then thinking about how you actually satisfy those definitions of good. All right, so for future directions, one of the points that was brought up was that there's a need to rethink the incentive structures in terms of how privacy forward decisions are encouraged or rewarded or not encouraged. And so how can we change the incentive structures in order to make it so that if leaders are making privacy forward decisions, there's some sort of a benefit to them or to their organization. Second, we talked about the need for strategies or methodologies for organizations to establish whether DP might be needed in their context. So this might include strategies for companies to perform internal attacks on their own data to see whether their past methods of protecting privacy are adequate or whether they might need to be updated. So one of the concrete examples brought up in this vein was that of the US Census Bureau. The census conducted an internal attack, and that seemed to provide some sort of motivation for the switch to DP. And last, there was a point raised about the need to develop standards for different parties to evaluate DP. So not just policymakers, but also data users and data subjects, et cetera. Yeah, and then I think I'll skip the community principles discussion just for time, but.
thank you. And I will also take this as an opportunity to sort of advertise. This was the first hour. It was part one of this event and this workshop and this like community building in the afternoon after lunch. If you can stay, we're gonna have like a part two with some like amazing talks and some breakout conversations again. And we hope you'll stay for that.
All right, I'm just going to try to quickly close things up. Like Chuck did yesterday, maybe just a little recap of some takeaway points from today. I mean, the breakout sessions were already summarized, but just sort of reflecting on Mayana's talk this morning. One of the reasons that we were excited to highlight that talk this morning was not only that it's a successful use, largest scale deployment of the OpenDP software. But the other is that it's really aligned very much with the mission that we set out, that motivated us to start OpenDP. And that is, opening up sensitive data for research and exploration in the public interest, and in this case, trying to address digital inequity challenges. And so we're really excited to see that success. And I think, well, of course, we want to see many more along those lines. And I think Mayana gave us a very positive note on where we are getting to be as a community in terms of tooling and experience, that it is no longer the same scale effort that it might have been a few years ago. And so her message was, really one person with expertise now is needed to carry out the privacy side of this project and make use of the tools that exist. And so I think that's sort of a call for everyone here to be looking for opportunities like that. And maybe there's, I know certainly as I was getting started to work on differential privacy, we'd hear about, there's this research group that, what they, the challenge they're facing in the university, differential privacy seems like a really good fit. But are we going to start from scratch and try to build a custom solution for them? It seemed like no way in the time scale that they're facing. And maybe now finally that's changed and we all can look for opportunities like that or try to, support. It's a great way to have additional impact beyond what we do normally from just writing research papers for those who are academics and researchers. From Jeremy, I think also a very positive takeaway that there is a lot of investment now in privacy and privacy technology from the U.S. government. Many opportunities to apply for funding, to engage with efforts like what's being done by NIST, to engage with policy. And then there was, of course, Jeremy's call also to consider public service. That was very US focused, as of course, Jeremy being at the White House. But we also saw in the Pitch Anything, Raphael's presentation showing that similar things are happening in other countries, and the Swiss government and the French government are looking at deploying privacy technology. So lots of ways that hopefully our work will start having a positive impact on practice. And I think we also saw in the Pitch Anything another example of how differential privacy is making its way into a lot more companies than was the case 5 years ago. So we heard from TikTok today, and yesterday we heard from Ford, and had Capital One represented on the panel discussion. So again, lots of work, but lots of exciting opportunities. So let me just end with a thanks to everyone who is involved with the organization of the meeting, the program committee, and the team members, the student volunteers, and especially, of course, want to call out and clap for Sharon and Nina and Annie for all that work. And hopefully we can leave this community meeting kind of carrying forward the momentum, and that you all will keep looking for ways to engage. Hopefully the working groups and things that come out of the breakout sessions won't be just a conversation now that we resume a year later, but really can be ongoing through the Slack channel, through additional meetings, Zoom meetings. We'd like to see more of that happening. The Privacy Attacks and Auditing Working Group has been having regular meetings, and we should do that with kind of all of the other joint efforts that we're engaged in. And just look forward to continuing to work with you all. And so enjoy the hackathon and workshop this afternoon, as well as lunch right now.